And I come tell the eye about Merry Christmas. Lord, you need to give a little. You get your riddle. You need to show the people something more. Don't let the heart shiver when fear's driven and end up losing it. But I'ma make it, yeah. Youth's born for greatness, yeah. For you see I and I own cheddar with one amount of labor. You know see I and I own cheddar with one amount of labor. So till Santa him can stop let our youth from one. Oh you are big dreams that we have. Oh. And living this life I know. No, that you, yeah. And me really can't easy. No, can't weary. No, Jah know you can't stop the flow. Just let the children go. Want every youth put on their thinking cap. No more time to laugh. Keep learning the fact. The poor and half man has been brainwashed. Adhering to a heart. The leaders them chat. Just like that, them falling at the trap. But you see I and I own cheddar with one amount of labor. You know see I and I own cheddar.
Good morning, and we're back with you again from Studio Galaxy 473. We're operating from Confaro in Paraclete. You're welcome to our program. We encourage you to share our program and subscribe. We are a new kid on the block. So we have a number of brothers and sisters in the diaspora, and we encourage you to pass the word around and share our program. Studio Galaxy Equalizers. Every Saturday, you hear the Equalizers on different subject matter. We believe Grenada is important, not ideology, not political parties. Grenada. And when we express our views, our opinions, we make suggestions to provoke discussion that will help Grenada. Some of the problems that exist in Grenada is not uncommon to the OECS and the rest of the Caribbean. So from time to time, you would hear we are addressing the Caribbean on a whole. The last time we were here, we spoke about agriculture. We are very dissatisfied with this present government attitude to agriculture. We do not believe they have a plan. They don't have an idea. They basically reacting. They broadsided. And we believe the time has come for them to be surgical. Concentrate on some aspects of agriculture and develop that. Grenada exports cocoa, that is chocolate. We export nutmeg, spice. We export fish and saucer. Nutmeg and cocoa have been traditional crops that has been with us for decades. So there is a market for it. But in the nutmeg and cocoa industry, government have to look at the husbandry practices that have been practically ignored. They have to look at the productivity and quality of the products and the market. Then we have fish and saucer. And it's practically the same thing. We have a market for fish and saucer that we cannot satisfy. We have a problem with the quality in fish, the productivity, the storage facilities, and transportation. So it is not rocket science. The stakeholders have to come together, brainstorm, and come up with answers. Source Up is the new kid on the block. Grenada is the only country in the region that can export fresh source up to the US market. Governments should put all the effort on increasing the productivity in source up. The Agriculture Ministry Extension Division have to look at the husbandry practices, and government have to work together with the traders to look at the transport system. You don't have to have bringing export to solve that problem. We must solve problems. We must not continue to walk around with problems as if it's a gift we get. Problems is not gift. A dynamic mind must solve problems. So the stakeholders who are involved in agriculture must ask the government, stop broadside, zero in on these factors, discuss it. Now what can we do more? We have three other areas begging to be exploited. One of them is honey and honey production. All the Caribbean agricultural export has not done justice to honey production. Honey is one of the food, once it's produced, it's in a state of readiness. You have your bees go outside there, they pick up nectar, pollen, and they produce it, and you have a final product to consume. The market for honey in the region now is practically insatiable. But we are not doing very much to help those involved in honey production. Some of the people who are involved in actually producing honey in the Caribbean, they're like old-time tailors. They cut their suit in the night. They're not sharing information. Some of them believe they are mystics because they can walk through bee field, and they're not encouraging people to know about it. They're making a little money and they're satisfied. It saddens my heart. The Ministry of Agricultural Exports, the chief technical officers in the ministry in Grenada, Dominica, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, the OECS and the Caribbean have not done justice to the honey market. They know there is a market. Honey is still marketed in Grenada and the rest of the Caribbean as a medicine, not as a sugar. People don't realize that anything you could use sugar for, you could use honey for. And in addition to that, honey has serious medical significance. Now it's easy to run your mouth on Grenadian government, Dominica government, St. Lucia government, Trinidad government. It's easy to accuse our beekeepers for cutting the suit in the night. What's about our best brain, the University of the West Indies? The University of the West Indies has not helped beekeepers. I don't know if it's because bee stings, and these individuals in the university like to function from air-conditioned offices. And they walk around with a certification. Not all of them, but the majority of them walk around with this certification as if it is the final productive product. So when they come out and they have BA or MA or PhD, the majority of them believe that is the final product. Some of the most unproductive people that I've come across is well certificated. What is sad and what is unfortunate, people believe they should not be held accountable. Caribbean heads of government should hold the University of the West Indies accountable for the injustice they have done to beekeepers and bee farmers. All of them knows that we can increase honey production in any country in the Caribbean by 1,000%, and we will still need honey. All of them knows that United States farmers are renting bees to put on their land to increase pollination. All of them knows that honey, beeswax, pollen, royal jelly, propolis, venom, all that you could get from bees. It is not difficult to start in bees. I'm willing to bet you that what it takes to get a big jump start in bees is less than what it takes a young man to buy an old car. Our education system in the Caribbean is a joke. It's not practical. It's just a pure joke. It seems as though we're setting up ourselves. I don't know if we're fighting to blame slavery. I don't know. Because I firmly believe that we are walking around with the blame game on top of our head. Slavery was over a couple of 100 years ago. Time for us to stop blame slavery. The time has come for us to stop blame imperialism. We must stop blame communism. We must stop blame tyranny. We must stop blame. We must zero in, be productive, and develop our country. What is important is the development of your country, not the blame game. I am tired hearing our comrades, our brothers, blaming the white man, blaming the imperialists, blaming the colonial masters, blaming the Marxist-Leninism. The time has come to stop. We have our own university. The Caribbean heads of government must mandate the university to put emphasis in bees so that people coming from university could become apiculturists. I don't know if I pronounce this word right. Apiculturists or bee farmers. I prefer to say bee farmers. That is more practical and understandable. They walk around with jacket and tie as if they swallow the grammar book, trying to speak English, and they're unproductive. If you come out in university and you have a master's degree, a bachelor's degree, a degree in agriculture, you must have something practical to show for it. Even though you're an extension officer, you must be able to bring people on your farm to see what you produce. It's easy to talk, you know. That's why Jesus Christ call them a brood of vipers. He said, do what they say, but not what they do. We must walk the talk. When you come out in university and you study something, you must be able to practicalize your certification and be productive. And the community must feel it. I hope that our people stop saying people bright and smart. And when I ask them what they have to show for it, nothing. The University of the West Indies has not helped us in agriculture. I ask you today, because you may well want to take issue with me, and I challenge you to take issue with me. What the university has done for beekeeping, what the university has done for fishing, what the university has done for flowers production. Each of these potential industries in the Caribbean are billion-dollar industries. What have they done for it? And you could ask your own Ministry of Agriculture throughout the Caribbean. Trinidad is a big daddy. They have a lot of money because they have a lot of oil. You remember Eric William? Oil don't spoil. What have they invested in beekeeping? I've heard Grenada government and all making an issue about exporting honey to Trinidad. Well, Grenada always exporting honey to Trinidad to the traffickers. Trinidad don't have honey. But the beekeepers in Trinidad don't want honey to come. Because they want to sell the honey as medication. Because they have oil. You remember Eric William? Oil. We have a slight feedback. Yeah. We have a slight feedback. We're back on track. So we have to be careful. We have to stop pretending in this country. We have to face the reality. The manner in which we function are creating unemployment. We could find ways to create employment locally. One of them is the fishing industry, but another is the beekeeping industry. But if we don't, as ordinary people, we don't start discussing that. You have your child come out in secondary school. You spend a lot of money. You have hopes and dreams. And most of the hopes and dreams that people have, your child will speak English more than the British. They will dress up good. And they will get a big name for having a job. I have not heard people saying I would like my son or daughter to create employment in the community, to develop the community. I have not heard anybody saying that. We have high unemployment in our country. So when your sons and daughters go to school, you want them to come back and help to solve the unemployment problem. You might want them to build a big house like the Jamaican artist, I forgot his name. He said he wants a big house with a lot of steps. That is what we do. We build big houses when we get old with a lot of steps. And we can't climb it. We have to stay downstairs in a cozy corner. We must want our young children that exit secondary school to help to create employment. Government must instruct those who they give tertiary education that they have a duty, a responsibility, and an obligation to come back and help to solve the unemployment problem in our country. The University of the West Indies must be mandated and challenged to help government solve the unemployment problem. How many thousands of people we can employ in the beekeeping industry? Let me start and give you an example. 1, if you have 100 hives, 100 hives, an individual get involved in beekeeping, whether you're in Dominica, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Trinidad, it doesn't matter where in the Caribbean, and you have 100 hives, you, the beekeeper, out of this apiculture project or this beekeeping project, You could have a job for your wife or your spouse or your kept-miss by that person extracting pollen. You go to the hive to get honey, but your kept-miss or your spouse go to the hive and only deal with pollen. And your son might be interested in selling hives. So his responsibility is to make new hives and sell. And with 100 hives you have, your son could sell 50 hives every year. But your daughter might be interested in propolis and royal jelly. And out of that very 100 hive, several members of your family can develop industries from it. But what happened to the education system? Why do we have an education system that is producing individuals for the bandit market? A system that produces individuals to practically cut style on their own people, to be dismissive of their own people. How could the University of the West Indies help us? They are not helping. I have been in forums where I listen to individuals making big speech, but their heart not in it. No passion. As if they've gone on the internet or in books and plagiarize on somebody's work to produce a speech. When you ask them, are you involved? What are you producing? How much people you employ? I have friends who have 2 doctorates. They are doctor. When last you have a publication? Because if you have a PhD, you should be doing publications. They doctor, and they walk in the road looking for big jobs. And gullible governments accept them. And they have all different positions. But they're not able to help us solve the challenges that we have. So I believe that I want to provoke those in the Caribbean to pay attention to beekeeping and maximize the productivity and the results that come from beekeeping. Who you want to solve your problems? You want Europe to solve your problem? You want the United States of America to solve your problem? You want China to solve your problem? China didn't come here to solve your problem. China come here to solve their problem. The Chinese come here and in all countries in the Caribbean with a 1,000-year plan. We have a 3-month plan. The Chinese don't watch you in your eyes. They don't take part in your conflicts. They don't take part in your joy or your sad stories. You curse the Chinese, they pretend they cannot speak English. Even though they're in the country 20 years, they pretend they cannot speak English. Because you is just a means to the end. In the rum shop, we say, me adopt, me not associate. The time has come for us to think, and on Radio Galaxy Equalizer, we'll continue to provoke our people to hold discussions. It doesn't matter where, under a tree, on Zoom, in the rum shop, in a funeral, anyway, hold discussion, discussing the issues. We take a break now, and we're back with you again in a very short while as we continue the Equalizer.
Say whoa, 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 whoa. Say whoa, 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 whoa. Ready Here a time to happy, but the whole year just went and you forgot it. Too much disguising on your love. I know I come tell the eye about Merry Christmas. Lord, you need to give a little. You get your riddle. You need to show the people something more. Don't make the heart shiver when fear is driven and end up losing it. But I'ma make it, yeah. Youth's born for greatness, yeah. For you see I and I own cheddar with one amount of labor. You know see I and I own cheddar with one amount of labor. So till Santa him can stop ghetto youth from one. Oh you are big dreams that we are. Oh. And living this life I know. No, that you, yeah, and me really can't easy. No, can't weary. No, Jah know you can't stop the flow. Just let the children go. Want every youth put on their thinking cap. No more time to laugh. Keep learning the fact. The poor and the man has been brainwashed. Adhering to a heart. The leaders them chat. Just like that, them falling at the trap. But you see I and I own cheddar with one amount of labor. You know see I and I own cheddar with one amount of labor. So till Santa him can stop ghetto youths from one. Oh you know, big dreams that we are. Oh, but I'ma make it, yeah. Youths born for greatness, yeah. So you see I and I own cheddar with one amount of labor.
Yes, brothers, we're back again with the second part of our program today. We was supposed to join by one of our guests, but you know when you is a new kid on the block, sometimes things don't work as smooth as you want it to work. We're very happy. Remember, we on Studio Galaxy 473, and this is the second part of our program on the Equalizer. In a number of occasions, I've been constantly challenged because some people are advancing the view, you're too much on Deacon. Give him a break. One individual come to me and say, you're attacking Deacon. Give him a break. And I had a lengthy discussion with them, and he thought that I should say that. Now, the Prime Minister of Grenada, Deacon Mitchell, is a brand new kid on the block. As a result of that, we do not know much about his philosophy, his ideology, what his position is. As we look at Deacon's life, it doesn't tell us much. So when you're in politics in a country, the individuals who are the ones making laws in parliament, it's very important to know who is making your laws, to know what kind of character people is, from whence they came, what they're all about. Otherwise, you would end up in laws in your country that you disagree with. You see, as I look at these members of the National Democratic Congress, they doesn't seem to adhere much to old traditions. They don't seem to be very committed to family. That's a very important thing in our society. When the males are very committed to their family, when the females are very committed to their family, you can joke with that. We have a new breed of women and a new breed of men in the world today who is self-first, self-second, and self-third. They may have a child or two or 1.5 just for the record's sake. They have a child because people say, you're a big woman in society, you don't have a child. So they have a child. But they believe that children is hand-bugging them. That they have to make too much sacrifice for children and they cannot enjoy themselves. We have a group of men in our society. They don't even want to make children because they say children is a burden. They want to have sex, but they don't want the consequences of having sex. They don't want children. So they preoccupy with getting it in a bag. Or they want to ensure that the women go in family planning so they don't make children. No, that is a serious, nothing is wrong with that. But when these groups end up making decisions and they are placed to make laws in parliament, you might have to bang your belly and bawl. The Ethiopian Jews, that is Jews that chase back the ancestor to Queen Sheba. They were brought to Israel, about 50,000 of them. Later it was found out that these people like to make children. But the birth rate among them was very low. Israel was giving them Depo-Provera, unknowing to them. So when a girl have a child and she go to the hospital and they give her this family planning drug, Depo-Provera, there are a lot of different names. That is the one I know. Years past, sometimes she don't have another child. After investigation, they realized that was what was being done. In Grenada and in the Caribbean today, a lot of our women are on family planning. They don't want the burden of children. They see God's gift as a burden. So they may have 1 child, 1.5 child, 2 child. And because they just have the child for the record's sake, they do not make much sacrifice for the child. And today, technology has provided the opportunity to provide the child with a gadget that becomes the third parent. So the child turns a couch potato. Remember, the parents have discretionary income. So they have a fridge home full of junk. And every evening come, they bring more. So the child gets fat. The child gets lazy. And the child do not do well in school. And you have a group of men don't care. The women have the car and they build the house. And the men become tourists. They visit the house periodically. So they are not strong on family building. So when you have a nothing is wrong with that. That is the individual lives. But when plenty of these people come together and decide to direct a country, that is what becomes sad. They're in government. They're not strong on family. They're insensitive to the elderly, the weak, and the physically challenged. Because from day one, they believe a child is a burden. And they believe they have to have free choice if they want to make a child or not. So today, in a number of countries led by the United States, a woman says she is pro-choice. What that means to me is that I could abort my child anytime I want. It's my decision. Whether it is at the stage of fertilization one day, when the eggs meet the sperm cell, you have a pill called morning after pill. Plenty sex and plenty pills. You can't get pregnant. Or whether it's up to 9 months, they abort the child. Why selfishness? That's one of the reasons. They see children as a burden. They say the child is going to handbug their lives. And sometimes society also help them because we don't provide support for our children. In some cases, you have to cry for the women who make the decision. And let me give you some example. Young girl in school, looking good, looking nice. All man head raised up when she pass. They're going to go after her. She may resist 1, 2, 5, 10, 20. But she will be showered with flattery. How she nice as God. How she like a sapodilla that ripe in the shade. How she bumper looking good. How you been dreaming about her all your life. But in addition to that, a man is a hunter. And there is no depth we would not go in our pockets to provide a law for a woman. So she get pregnant. And the whole world come falling down on her. Her parents do not support her. Her brothers is angry. The community is running them out on her. And the society practically forces her to abort. These are some of the challenges we have. When you have a government that is not strong on family, that believe children in the society is a burden, that believe the unemployed are beggars, that is consumed with insulting those less fortunate than them by some of the language they use to them, then we're in trouble. Don't expect the ordinary man to scream. The ordinary man been screaming always. And if they scream, you would not hear. Then you're in trouble. This present government, we don't know them before. They was not involved in advocacy. They was not involved in pushing and advocating and help to develop societies. They are not strong on family. And from June 23rd, in fact by July 5th, they start showing the true colors. They were firing people that work 8 to 19 years, 3 to 19 years, without justification, without economic rationale. They refuse to explain their action. In politics, a government may do something that people have difficulties understanding. But if the government explain what they are doing, more people may understand and appreciate it. You have a very arrogant group. You have a group that is extremely greedy, that is practically killing the idea of voluntarism in this country. That is why I speak about Dick Mitchell and his group. I am normally very soft on politicians because I believe politicians are the greatest thinkers in the Caribbean, in all professions in the Caribbean, and they make some of the greatest sacrifice. And their life is always on the microscopic, under the microscope. Their children's lives is under scrutiny. Their spouse, their wives' lives are under scrutiny. Their friends' lives are under scrutiny. Unlike all other professions. So I'm normally soft on them. But this group of individuals, I believe, is a serious threat to our country because they are insensitive, because they seem to be very weak on family structure, because they believe they're very selfish, they become very greedy. And when you have greedy individuals in high places, they normally sacrifice the people. I don't know if you remember the individual from Belgium who plundered Africa. Not Africa, but the Congo. He was considered as the butcher of the Congo. It was not the Africans who first complained. It was other European imperial government that was shocked of the level of barbarity and murder and slaughter that was going on in the Congo. That is why he is called the butcher of the Congo. He was responsible for the murder, maim, and destruction of over 20 million Africans. And the only reason is because he wanted to live a lavish lifestyle. Because his power in Belgium was curtailed, he needed power and he needed money. So he got the Belgian government to give him the authority to control the Congo. And he ripped the skin of the people of the Congo back so he could enjoy a lavish lifestyle in Belgium. Now, anytime you have politicians preoccupied with lavish lifestyle, they're going to sacrifice the poor. I am convinced, based on what I've seen so far, that this present government is too preoccupied with a lavish lifestyle. And I believe that Grenadians must wake up. We still have time to try to change them, to try to make them understand this is not your role. This is not what you promised. This is not the policy you gave us. We supported you. We put you there, but not for what you are doing. There are a lot of individuals who in Grenada today who would not speak. Just as the butcher of the Congo, he was having a nice life in Belgium. So the hierarchy in Belgium and the privilegencia in Belgium turn a blind eye to the murder and maim of the Africans. It was the other European imperial power that was shocked and chastised the Belgian government to restrain the king, the butcher of the Congo. We have to wake up. This government is not even advancing justification for what they do. But when you list what this government has done so far, your heart have to be stone. Or maybe you are benefiting from the lavish lifestyle. At what expense? 5, 10 years from now, even if you're living in gated communities, you would know no peace. I was speaking recently to some colleagues of mine with a briefcase of certificate. I say, you build a big house and you have a nice car and you have discretionary income. How many maids you have? Some of them had one maid, they badly paid. When you have a big house and a nice car and it's you alone, you have to have about 5 maids and butler too. Otherwise, bandit going to raid your house. And sometime after they finish with you the first time, you have to make for a home. Because you become easy target in a big house. Particularly you're treating your workers bad. So your workers themselves going to help plot to ravish you. We have to wake up. We cannot take advantage on society just to live a lavish lifestyle. Even individuals well-meaning, with good intention, civil rights leaders like Michael de Freitas end up in that position. He let the lavish lifestyle of drinks, wine, sex, and dine overwhelm him. And then he was executed for murder. What we have in Grenada today, we have not seen that since 1967, post-1967. That is why I say, that is why my concentration is on the policy. What is written and what is not written of the government. I don't go after what I call the genuine mistakes they make, or the mistakes they make because they are amateurs and novice. I ignore that. I expect them to make a lot of mistakes and blunders. But I go after the policy, the lavish lifestyle, and look at the consequences that would occur as a result of a group of people who have the power to pass laws. I am not surprised that they intend to sell the bank. They could use other languages, commercialize, get rid of, involve more people in it. What they do is to sell the GDB bank. A bank that was designed to reach out to the people that the commercial banks have no appetite for. The commercial banks in our country have no appetite for the people who function in agriculture, who function in the vendors, the cottage industry, the informal sectors. The commercial banks believe that the undertaking is too risky. And if I did own a commercial bank, I think the same way. A company is here to make money, to make maximum profit. These companies don't have a social conscience. They say they do because we practically force them to do, but they don't have a social conscience. It's like a man selling coke in the community. He knows that in 5, 10 years, it's a bunch of junkie that will be in the community. You could go back and look. Look at all those who've been selling drugs in your community. You know them. After some years, they're sorry they got involved in drugs. You know why? Their children start to take drugs. Their wife start to take drugs. It's the same thing. If the policy of the government is hostile towards the people that needs the government the most, later on, even if you live in gated communities, you will regret. We have a number of examples in the Caribbean. John Gall tell me Jamaica is a failed state. We've been arguing that for eternity. I don't agree with him, but he has a lot of facts. Look at what is going on in Jamaica. Trinidad, Eric Williams say oil don't spoil. But Trinidad is not exporting medical doctors or agricultural exports. Trinidad is bringing in people, highly skilled people to work. We have people from the Philippines and other going in Trinidad to hold jobs that the people are not prepared for. The same thing going to happen in Grenada. And now that we have a government that is hostile to the people or to the majority of the people, it would serve as a catalyst to make these changes. I encourage you to watch your children in your home and ask yourself, what would happen in the next 10, 15, 20 years? Would they have a job? Would they have children? Because we have a group of individuals today that is not strong on family, that believe children is a burden, that is extremely insensitive to the elderly, the weak, and the physically challenged. When you have a government that set that as a policy, even if it is not written, what you expect will happen? Man has the tendency to plunder one another. As individuals, we have the tendency to take advantage on the weak. But when you have a government that sets out its policy to take advantage on the weak in Grenada, and this is what the NDC do. I take calls in this program. You can call me at 416 410 3030. You can call me at 410 3030. And if you listen to me, I'll take calls from the WhatsApp and also straight calls. 410 3030. And you can make your comments and I'll also read it out. I know some of the statements I'm making might look controversial, and I'm ready and prepared to defend it and to hold discussion with it and even modify some of the comments if you give me reason and justification. You see, I've been asking the question for over a year. And I can't even get the political activists of the NDC to answer me. Some of them who we used to partake in regular discussion, whether it's about Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Hamas, or any discussion, now they seem to be rare and they don't have much time or stomach for discussion. And the government of Grenada is not answering discussion. I would really like to know what is the justification for the government policy of restorative justice. This is significant. I don't agree with it at all. I take strong objection to that. I believe it would have serious repercussion in the future, because other governments in the future could come and feel they justify to implement restorative justice without explanation. Because they're going to say, well, 5 years you accept it. So it become a norm in this country. And that's why I'm on it asking. When the government was campaigning, the government campaigned on a policy of transformation. Dramatic change. Transformation. But the government was telling lies. They say we campaign on a policy of transformation. But it is not so much transformation. It is more restorative justice. The government knowingly tell lies on a fundamental policy. Transformation was a serious pillar under which the government campaigned. And I believe that was significant in impressing people. But the government say, we campaign under transformation, but it is not transformation. It is restorative justice. Obviously, that must be concern to all Grenadians. How could I understand one person telling lies? I could understand one person deceiving people. But when a group of people sit down together and plan to deceive thousands of people, and particularly people in the lower echelons of society, the lower income group, the lower social group, I think that is fundamentally wrong. And we should seek explanation, justification, why that is so. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, my brother, welcome. Yes, you on your live. All right, I think you live on the program, my brother, the Equalizer. So we're going to, yes. So I believe, how could all these people in Grenada, journalists, lawyers, doctors, trade union leaders, people from civic group, doesn't see that as a concern? How could you? Government claim during the fundamental policies, one of the fundamental policies was transformation. All the time the government knew that it was not transformation, it was restorative justice. Now, how could our people not be concerned? And as you see the implementation of restorative justice, more and more I consider it as political mischief, as political vengeance. Now, how could we accept that? The stakeholders have to understand. If you accept restorative justice under the NDC, governments to come may well implement the same restorative justice policy. What is going to happen to your country? What you think going to happen to your country? You're going to fracture your country badly with political vengeance. Now, what is the justification for the NDC under Dick Mitchell believe that they are compelled to introduce a policy of political vengeance or restorative justice? Who did them wrong? Where is the history that NDC was wrong and now they need to get restorative justice package? Where is the history in Grenada? The only time in Grenada that might have had some justification was post 1983. Perhaps one could have argued that there was sufficient evidence to introduce a policy of restorative justice. Yes, scholar, welcome. Oh, yeah. Sorry. To introduce a policy of restorative justice after 1983. Because all of us know the revolution jailed over 3,000 people. And the revolution committed the worst crimes after slavery and colonialism. So people could have argued for restorative justice. But it was loud and clear, no. Let us forgive one another and live together. And the Truth and Reconciliation Committee was set up. South Africa did the same thing. Let us speak the truth and forgive and live together. So what is the justification today in Grenada for the government to implement a policy of restorative justice? No explanation was given. No justification was given. I have never seen such level of arrogance from any group of politicians in the Caribbean. I have never seen that level of arrogance from any group of politicians in the Caribbean, much less Grenada. That is why I speak. That is why I ask these questions. Not on the mistakes that you expect a green government would make. All government make mistakes. And if you have a green government with 9 political neophytes, 9 inexperienced individuals, then you expect them they will make more mistakes. That is a gamble and a chance we took. So you wouldn't hear me taking issue on that. I take issue on the government introducing restorative justice. I question the attitude of the government, their hostility against people in the lower income group. I question the greed of this government. The government wants to live a lavish lifestyle. All political leaders in history who went down that road end up in disaster, including the butcher of the Congo, and Michael de Freitas. The government seems to flaunt the law with impunity. The government is plundering the GDB Bank because they believe that when you are successful, you're supposed to turn the government coffers into your personal supermarket. Against the government being agents, selling passport on the international market. Now we have to remember in 1967, Grenada got the authority to responsible for their own self-governance. Our local economy was in our hand. In 1974, we had the power to determine our own destiny and our foreign affairs. This government has not given us any explanation why there is a third party dictating our foreign affairs. It means that the government is selling and compromising our independence. And this is why I speak. And I want to thank the young man with me today again, Devontae. Okay. I want to thank the young man with me, Devontae. He's a technical operator. Without his assistant still in school, we are practically old to the technology. You know, it takes some doing. It's not insurmountable, but we are trying to get used to the technology so we could function and speak at the same time. We want to encourage people to do their utmost to incorporate the younger ones in whatever venture they're doing. We want to encourage our education system in the training of the young ones to encourage them to understand the value of the elder ones. You might have the technology. The Bible tells you young men dream dreams, but old men see vision. So the young men coming out to school, they may good on IT. They may do management and business management. They like to do that. Psychology and management. But to let them know that they have to work with the elder people. They might be very traditional in their approach. But you don't have the resources. You don't have the clout in society. And you may have to work with them to get results. I want to encourage the education system that your individuals that are coming out from college and university with master's degree and bachelor's degree to join groups in the community. You have a master's in management. Go and take some practice in the community to help manage community group. Help manage your family. Help your sister children so that we'll be able to improve the community. When government invests money in you and give you tertiary education, governments expect you to come back and share what you have learned with the people in your society in a practical way. I want to advance the position that even when people are interviewed for a job, one of the questions they should be asked is what role they play in the development of the community. Some people doing postgraduate studies and getting scholarship in their countries, they are asked the question. I think it was Pope John Paul that warned developing countries about investing in tertiary education at the expense of primary and secondary education. I think This is important because we have a government that don't care about that. The government is not sensitive. The government is very insensitive to the people in the lower income group. This government is living lavish lifestyle. The government is greedy. The individuals that make up the government doesn't seem to be strong, family committed individuals. The individuals that make up the government, when more and more I look at them, they look as if children is a burden. And children going to keep them back. This is not a good group for the development of society. But we have the power to advise them to change. They could change. We have to believe everybody in the world could change. And this is Holy Week. So this is a good week for introspection, for you to look at yourself, for you to go in the mirror and look at the mirror and ask yourself questions. This is a good week for that. So I want to challenge all the members of government. If I say anything that is not the truth there, I want you to challenge me. Based upon what I see you doing, I'm worried that you're going to cause damage to our country, that you're going to cause the economy to deteriorate, that you're going to create plenty fraction in our society. I want to discourage you to abandon the language you're using. The language you're using is dismissive, insulting, and demeaning language. And from captain to cook, from the Prime Minister to the Minister of Agriculture. The Minister of Agriculture say, lunatic and idiot. The Prime Minister say, beggy, beggy. And the Prime Minister endorse calling Grenadians classless. From bramble to timber, all of them in this period, Glorious Saturday, you all need a rude awakening. Go in front of the mirror. Look at the mirror. And ask yourself the question, am I on the right track? Should I have a responsibility to provide information for people? If you don't know, ask Deacon, who is the third party that dictating our foreign affairs? Is it right and fair for more than 1/3 of the members of my government to plunder the GDP bank? Ask yourself this question. We have to correct ourselves. We have to ask ourselves questions. You don't have to wait for some judge to make you shame. You don't have to wait for people in the diaspora to ask you those questions. You don't have to wait for other governments in the Caribbean to laugh at Grenadian leaders. Ask yourself this question. Make some changes. You are politically young, but you have time to redeem yourself. And it seems you have a very tolerant public. But if you continue on that trajectory, the level of tolerance will wane. You're not doing good. One of the yardsticks you must use whenever a political party notice that the political activist is getting quiet, it means something wrong with your policies. Once you don't have political activists defending you, something is wrong with what you're doing. So Deacon Mitchell, and Dennis Connell. I believe you all have to seriously look at your policies. Look at what you promised to do. Make some changes. Redeem yourselves. You're fracturing this country. You're heading down the wrong trajectory. Try to live a little bit more frugal so there is no need for this lavish lifestyle. What you find in lavish lifestyle is music, wine, fete, clothes, and sex. That's what you find in lavish lifestyle. And that is a formula for destruction. It has destroyed many before you. It has contributed to the butcher of the Congo, what he has done to the people of the Congo. It has contributed to Michael de Freitas' demise. And there are many other politicians that succumb. Follow the politician that made sacrifice, use frugal, and seek the interests of our people. And we encourage you to share our program, The Equalizer. The Equalizer will come every Saturday, and you're here, and we're on Studio Galaxy 473. And we want you to share our program, subscribe to our program, talk about it, and you could always call us. We take calls, we take WhatsApp, and we want to be as open as possible, as frank as possible. And every Saturday, look out for somebody with the new ideas or what they suggest. And you will also hear me sometimes, and Kennedy Budlal and others who pop in. Yeah? We come to the end of the program.
Say whoa, 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 whoa. Say whoa, 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 whoa. Ready now, me ready now. A time to share, a time to care, a time to happy. But the whole year just went and you forgot it. Too much disguise in your love. I know I come tell the eye about Merry Christmas. Lord, you need to give a little. You get your riddle. You need to show the people something more. Don't make the heart shiver when fear's driven and end up losing it. But I'ma make it. Youth's born for greatness. For you see I and I own cheddar with one amount of labor. You know see I and I own cheddar with one amount of labor. So till Santa him can stop get our youth from one. Oh you want big dreams where we are. Oh, oh. And living this life I know. No